What's the worst financial decision you've ever made, bro?
I've spent all my money on Labubus. This Labubu here, exciting macaron, cost me £422.33p.
So in today's video, we're going to be talking about debt. It seems like everyone in 2025 has some kind of debt that they're dealing with, whether it's a mortgage or a car loan or a personal loan. So I want to watch some videos, get some advice from people who have made good decisions and paying off their debt, and then also see some mistakes that were made so that we can learn from them. Let me know if you have any ideas for videos for the future, or leave a comment down below if you want to be featured in one of the next videos. Thank you guys, as always, for the support. We just passed 15,000 views on the channel, which is amazing. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any good ideas for videos in the future. But as always, leave a like and subscribe so you can see more of them when they come out.
I recently went viral for having $30,000 in credit card debt, and it even got picked up by Newsweek. There was an article featuring my credit card debt. And throughout the comments, a lot of people have been recommending different, financial gurus. And of course, people have been recommending Dave Ramsey. So here is why I do not subscribe to Dave Ramsey's snowball effect and his approach in general. So for starters, the entire premise of his plan hinges on having extra money to put towards. So you pay off everything. You pay your bills, you pay all your credit cards, you pay all your debts, and then any extra money you have, stop right there. Who the fuck has extra money? So then he's like, aha, yes, if you don't have extra money, get a second job, get a third job, eat rice and beans. That's actually something I joined a Dave Ramsey private Facebook group. People all the time reference rice and beans, rice and beans. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to do anything to get out of debt. I'm not willing to eat rice and beans every day. I'm not willing to have 3 jobs and not spend time with my children. I'm not willing to forego my favorite salad on a Friday when I feel like getting one. My bills and my debt is so tremendous that $20 here.
It looks like this lady has a decent sized family. I'm sure herself and her husband. And then there is 2 car seats in the back, which kind of makes me feel that short-term sacrifice is always going to be the way to pay off debt. If you're not willing to make little sacrifices in the beginning to snowball into a bigger effect, you're always going to be in a debt situation. And the mindset that I have is when you're looking to pay off debt, it's not that you should be paying off debt for yourself, but it is debt for your family. It's debt for experiences that you can give them in the future. And if you're able to clear up $1,000, $2,000 worth of debt every month that you're paying to someone else, that just opens up the potential for your family to do more things as time goes on, and for you to have more freedom and more investments to be able to put into savings for college or high school, just to stop the debt cycle for doing the same thing for them.
Y'all, the obsession to look rich is so American. And ultimately, this mindset is what keeps a lot of people poor. People can become obsessed with the idea of looking rich instead of actually being rich. It's just such a weird obsession to me to buy the newest version of the luxury car that's gonna take us all to the same fucking places. Or buying a house at the very top of your budget and barely being able to afford maintenance on it. Or the all-American obsession we have with name brand designer stuff, purses, clothes, sunglasses. Ultimately, for me, I don't give a shit if y'all think I look rich or I don't look.
So this is a common theme that we see a lot, even so far, just on this channel. The image that people feel they need to have to appear wealthy or to appear rich often overtakes the financial stability that they're actually making for their family. I think a lot of it falls into the fact that we're so judgmental as a species, and that we are going to judge someone on their house or their car or their clothes, because those are the things that we will see, but we're probably never going to see their bank account. We're probably never going to see a 401k, a Roth IRA, any type of investment accounts they have. But we are going to see what they show up to work in every day. We are going to see the clothes they wear, and we'll probably see where they live. So with that mindset, this is something that can be hard for people to gauge, because a lot of us crave attention and acceptance. And sometimes the best way to do that is by having a nicer car, or living in a big house, or having nice clothes. And also for people, it's a chemical release in their brain. Buying clothes, buying things that make them feel like they're in control of their finances and in control of their life. So it's a debt spiral that you can fall into, just trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to look good for the people who really don't care much about you, and you may never even see them again. But also you need to consider the fact that everything is so expensive nowadays, with bigger houses that are being made such poor quality, The average family is really being thrown into $400,000, $500,000 worth of debt for their first major investment in their life. I feel like gone are the days of multi-family homes where parents would invite their kids into their home to stay with them and they would basically grow a future together. Now, with how much families separate, you have kids 18 to 21 years old, if they have the family backing, who are $500,000 in debt on top of the 30,000 they owe on their car and the $100,000 plus student loans. So it can be a mountain to climb out of, almost $1 million worth of debt before you're even 30.
How are people doing this? I see people online going on these extravagant vacations and buying like expensive things, and I am into my career and have a good job, and instead of going to Europe like I wanted to this summer, I went to the desert and camped on BLM land because it's free with friends, and it was a great time. But like, how are people doing this? Are you just like in mad debt and I don't know about it? Like, what are people doing? Everything is so freaking expensive.
So this lady makes a great point, and it kind of ties into the last video that we watched, but you have to remember a lot of people that you see who are going on vacations, who do look like they have the biggest homes and nicest cars, a lot of the time they're in debt, and that's how they're living these lifestyles. There's a huge confusion between being rich and acting rich, especially in 2025 with social media. And when it became the fact that you could actually make money on social media and people will tend to listen to people who look like they do better in their life, people were willing to make an investment of 10, 20, $30,000 into their image in the hope that maybe they'll make money later down the line for them. But this really shouldn't stop the average family in America from feeling proud of the things that they've been able to achieve. Being able to pay your bills and put food on the table for your family on a daily basis means that you're doing something right in your life, and normally things that take a long time to achieve are worth working for. But just because you can take your family on vacations every year doesn't mean that you technically should. There tends to be a lot better ways to invest that kind of money for down the road memories where your kids are a little older and they'll probably remember what's going on. So if you're in your early 20s and 30s, investing that money in some kind of return account is normally a much better way to go, so that you can use the passive income that you'll make in the future to spend on trips, so that you're not digging into your savings or your income.
Boats don't depreciate quite as fast as what a car does. Also, the banks allow you to take longer terms out on the loans for boats and, say, RVs and campers. It's because they know that it doesn't depreciate as fast. Larger demand, but a smaller amount of boats available on the market, where you've got millions of cars obviously available at any one time. You know, if you wanted a Chevy Malibu, you can go to this lot here, and 2 miles away you can find another Chevy Malibu. But say you wanted this Carolina Skiff beside us here, where are you going to find another JVX 16 Carolina Skiff? It could be halfway across the state.
So this video is completely wrong. I don't know where this guy is getting his information from. It looks like he probably sells boats, so this may just be a sales tactic or justification on his behalf. But if you think about it, there's a lot more people in the market for a Chevy Malibu than there is for a boat. So implying that because boats are harder to acquire or harder to find than cars means that they're a better financial investment or a better decision to make is pretty flawed logic if you think about it that way. And also, a car tends to be a necessity that people have in their home. Most cities in America are not built to walk, and the public transport is normally non-existent. So a car can be your only way of getting from A to B. A boat, on the other hand, is a great toy if you can afford to have it and if it's paid off, because the maintenance itself will be high. But implying that boats don't depreciate as bad as cars is also not really true. One, because the purchase price is a lot higher, and the average boat is going to depreciate 15 to 20% as soon as you take it off the lot. And within 5 years, that boat is going to have depreciated by between 50 and 65%.
I'm breaking the silence, finally posting again. I haven't posted in weeks, probably more than a month already. I have been so discouraged on my debt payoff journey that I just quit on myself, quit everything. I haven't gotten myself into more credit card debt, but I just haven't been doing well with sticking to my budget and eating out, things like that. Things that I said I wouldn't do, I am doing, and I just feel so disappointed in myself, and I feel like I'm not making any real progress, and it's just so discouraging to think about it. Saving money, paying off debt, money, it's all I think about every single day. My financial situation is just not the best right now, so I just feel like I am making no progress. I feel like it's not worth continuing on this journey because it's just so difficult to stay committed. I have always struggled with staying committed to something and being consistent with whatever I set my mind to do. I'm experiencing it in this journey that I'm on. I really, really want to get back on track. I know that I can. I know that I have it in me to actually become debt-free if I really just 100% commit. But if it's not one thing, it's another. And I'm just wanting to let you guys know that I'm having a hard time. For those of you who are purchasing my budget template, my budget tracker, and everything that I have available in my bio, thank you so much for the support. The fact that I haven't even been posting, but people are still buying my product means so much to me, and I am just glad that I was able to build something that is helping others as well on their journey. Just give me a second to reboot, restart, and I will get back on track.
This is a sad situation, but it's pretty common nowadays. The mindset when you're paying off debt is hard to deal with because when you start acknowledging daily that you are in debt and that a huge portion of your income needs to go to pay off debt, it really changes the mindset that you have towards the money you make. It can be a mentally draining task seeing that your paycheck comes in, whether it's $2,000, $2,500, or $3,000, and knowing that essentially 50%, 60% of that is owed to someone else. The concept of not owning your money that you've worked for can really mess with your head, and not having a payback strategy for your debt is something that will keep you spiraling up and down forever, and you may never pay it off. This gets particularly hard if you are used to having a lifestyle where you spend a lot of money and you're pretty impulsive with the money that you spend, because when you have to really nail it down to every single transaction and you start to realize that you can't afford the trip that you wanted to go on or the clothes you wanted to buy, it really messes with your mind and tricks you into thinking that you're not as successful as you actually are, and that the career you may be in may not be right for you, or that just your lifestyle in general is not something you can live. What I've found is that breaking down your debt into each individual part and knowing that once it's paid off, that money will return to you is something that really helps. And realizing that when you get that paycheck, the quicker you can get out of debt and get that money freed up, all of that money will go into your bank account and is free for you to invest or spend wherever you want.
I literally spend money like I am a millionaire. Granted, like, I'm not even done with college yet, but I've never been, like, at a point where I'm, like, I'm financially stable. Like, I can afford all the necessities, so I'm comfortable. But I will still go to Sephora once a week. I will still make sure that I buy something every time Skims drops a new collection. I will still be rooftop at a luxury restaurant ordering reposado shots and vodka pasta. I will still book a same-day flight. Do all my grocery shopping at Whole Foods. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I've literally convinced myself that I'm rich. Like, the lifestyle that I've convinced myself is okay to have is, like, delusional. I'm a 23-year-old college student. So basically, if I don't make it huge, I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
So this is kind of the polar opposite of the last video that we just watched. This girl seems like she's aware that the lifestyle that she wants to live is not somewhere where she's feasibly able to live right now. She said that she's a college student. She doesn't make a lot of money, yet she's living like she's a millionaire, which is unfortunately pretty common in this country. I do think a lot of this, though, comes back to social media and the people that you surround yourself with. I don't think that we have ever, as humans, been in an age where we compare ourselves with each other more than we are now. And this is a pretty common situation where you're surrounded by these lifestyles that are completely unattainable and are normally fake and paid for, and you expect that to be the normality that you're able to live. This can have terrible consequences on the average person because they'll spend their years, like their 20s and even into their early 30s, trying to be something that they're not and hoping that, like she said, they'll make it huge in the future. Which, if you don't, a salary like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year may not be enough for you to sustain even a basic lifestyle if you've thrown yourself into crazy amounts of debt and made reckless financial decisions in your early 20s.
Credit cards are one of the biggest scams today, and the first step to achieving financial freedom that you need to take, and arguably the most important, is removing all bad debt out of your life and learning to live below your means. Studies show a lot of Americans are spending 20 to 30% of their yearly income on interest rates alone. That's insane. Imagine if you took that same money every year and threw it into investments or something that would make you money. I really believe this is what's keeping most of us from breaking through that ceiling and achieving financial freedom. We can't get our footing. It's like trying to run a race on ice. The first thing you need to do is get rid of the bad debt. Here's some examples of good debt versus bad debt. Mortgage on a home that's appreciating. You borrow money to buy a house. Over time, the value goes up. You earn money in equity. That's a good kind of debt. Student loans. As long as the ROI makes sense, you invest into your education to get a high-paying career, and that's long-term payoff. Personal business loans, real estate investment loans, and in some cases, medical debt. It's necessary to protect your quality of life to be able to keep your earning potential high. Examples of bad debt. Number one, most obvious, high-interest credit cards. Credit card companies take advantage of your impulse and your inability to have self-control when purchasing things, and they charge you a premium for it, and that premium will ruin your life. Same thing goes with car loans. Cars lose their value very fast. Financing a car you can't afford is some of the worst kind of debt that you can have. If you can, always buy a car in cash so you don't have to pay interest, and you can usually get a better price out the door, but most of us can't afford that. So if you're going to do payments, ignore the bells and whistles and go for affordability and reliability. You get a 2025 model on loan, but you put it on Turo to make yourself extra income. That turns what would be a bad form of debt into a good form of debt. General rule of thumb, if you don't know if something's bad or good, is if it's not able to make you money, it's not worth financing for. If your income is not yet high enough to meet your family's basic needs, don't be scared to use the credit card for food or clothing for your children. But those kind of necessities are often not what we swipe the card for. So if you want financial freedom and you don't know where to start, this is step one. Just get the bad credit out of your life as quickly as possible.
So this is a great perspective to have on debt. I think one of the biggest things that helped me when I was trying to learn more about the financial world and how to make good financial decisions is switching the mindset from debt as money to spend more as money to invest. And if you're going to make an investment into having debt, because that's really what it is, you're basically loaning other people's money for your own gain in the hope that in the future you'll make more money off of that investment and be in a better position. So if you can structure the things that you go into debt for, like a house, as he'd mentioned, it's in a good neighborhood, it's probably going to appreciate over time, where the value is going up, where there's houses around it that are selling for more than what you bought your house for. Going into debt for something like that can be a good decision if over 10, 15 years you're going to have the option to get money back from it. Now, he makes a good contrast to something like a car, or like we saw before, a boat. With a car or a boat, you're never going to make money back on your investment. I don't care if it's a Kia or a Ferrari. The minute that you drive it, the minute it loses the lot, you're going to lose value on the car immediately, and you're never going to see that value back 99.9% of the time. Now, I know there's people out there who use credit cards a lot and who enjoy the points and the benefits of using them. Me personally, I'm not a credit card person. I had a credit card. It was closed because I actually never used it, and the account just had a zero balance. Now, for someone like me, opening a bunch of credit cards and trying to balance the finances is just a recipe for disaster. I prefer to keep everything compartmentalized, a high-interest savings account, some investments that I can monitor. But opening up lines of credit and trying to balance this bad debt, like he spoke about, is not something that would work for me. But I think you really need to find out what kind of person you are. If you're able to balance one or two credit cards and it's beneficial to you, then it might not be a terrible idea for everyone. But just take the time and figure out for your personality if you think having credit cards and having open lines of credit is something that's a benefit to you, or if you're just doing it out of necessity.
This is going to be a longer video because there's a couple things that I want to say at the end. I'll get into the juice of the topic for the people that don't want to stick around for the other stuff, but I just want to get on here and say this is my 13th attempt. I've had some challenges with the video not loading correctly and just honestly being too emotional to put it out on the internet. And I also want to address, I've seen your comments about me being a high income earner. I'm very aware that I'm a high income earner, and I'm very, very grateful. But I've gotten myself into such a situation that I don't own a single penny of my income. It goes to other people. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to get myself out of that situation. And then start dreaming again. I don't know. But this is not an easy video. I am in a hot mess. I've had some victories, but I have so many mountains to climb. Okay, for the people that don't want to stick around for what I'm saying, at the end, let's break down my payday. $3,117.24. Be kind, guys. Be kind. $188 to Bank of America. $109 to a personal loan for Upstart. $139 to another personal loan. $353 to another personal loan. However, I am very grateful for that personal loan because they let me refinance an older loan and they gave me $4,100, and I was able to consolidate some debt a few weeks ago, and it helped me not to have a deficit. You heard that right. I had a deficit when I started this journey. Sorry, that's my car honking with my laptop. I apologize. $485 to upgrade. $253 to my car payment. $119 to a personal loan. $286 to a personal loan. $338.90 to a personal loan. $241 to a personal loan, and $78 for another little thing I had, and $220 to the IRS. The rest, groceries, gas, you know, the essentials.
So this is a pretty sad video to finish with, but I thought it was important to put it in here because you may have figured out yourself, but this lady is the girl from a few videos back that was talking about eating out at rooftop bars and living like a millionaire in 25 years of where she is right now. Unfortunately, this is the result of making bad financial decisions all the way through your 20s and probably into your 30s as well. Not all of them may have been her fault, but if you listen to what she is spending from a $3,117 payday, which is over $75,000 a year after taxes, the majority of it is going to payday loans, high interest loans, Upstart loans. Now, some of them may have been a necessity at the time, but this lady owns almost none of her paycheck. She's living a $75,000 a year income with maybe a $40,000 to $35,000 a year lifestyle, because half of her money is going to bills and to debt and to bad debt. Once you include groceries and daily expenses and gas and rent, this is how you can literally be breaking even every month on your income while having an almost six-figure a year job. And the decisions that we make in our 20s and in our 30s may not seem like a big deal long term, but you don't want to be 40, 50, going into your 60s and looking at retiring and still paying off bad debt on boats and trucks and cars and things that you really don't need at the time. Focus your money, spend it on things that are going to help you make money. Travel when you can. It's important. See the world, but don't put yourself in a bad situation financially just to live the life that you think other people are living, when really you have no idea what's going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Hopefully this video didn't come across as too harsh. I want everyone in this video to do great, but I think it's important to share the decisions that they've made, put a little bit of attention on it, give some information. As always, use the resources that you have. There's a lot of stuff out there to help you learn financial literacy. A lot of things I wish I would have used earlier. And if you have any ideas for videos in the future, feel free to leave them below, and I'll shout you out if we end up using the idea. Thank you guys, and as always, be safe.